Howdy folks, Keywii here, and welcome back to Suzerain, a safe space in which we awesome, where we are just gonna read some news, and then we're gonna go about our day. So, first we're gonna go into the geopolitica. Rumberg has closed down its consulate in Sordland, one of the few East Mercapan nations to have diplomatic ties in the Northern Kingdom. This comes right after the deployment of the Rumbergian troops near the northern borders of Sordland. Rumbergian officials cite political unrest and uncertainty as the main reason for the closure, while raising concerns over security in the country. In Lockhaven, a political source said the Rumbergian flag has been lowered overnight and that the diplomatic staff were expected to leave Sordland on Friday or Saturday. Many Lockhaveners were shocked as the 120-year-old Rumberg consulate closed. Dozens of citizens with Rumbergian relatives went out to protest against this action in the afternoon. It is not clear if the consulate closure was temporary or permanent, signaling a break in the diplomatic ties which date from 1923. Our editors see the situation as a further deterioration of relations between Sordland and Rumberg. This can be easily regarded as a one-sided provocation from the north. The economics. All right, let's see what we got. Yeah. All the grays. All right, so Underhall Construction once again #1. Underhall Construction was once again picked up as the #1 construction company of the year by the reputable Statistics Sordland. This was the 11th time the company was selected for the top spot in a row since Chris Scar was appointed as the CEO. Veteran industry leader Scar congratulated the employees first and foremost in a private company meeting held in the luxurious resort in Allure. He also mentioned the recent addition of Heart of Sordland organization CEO Marcel Caronti to the board of advisors helped immensely in this great achievement. At The Economist, we think now is a great time to invest in Underhall Construction, as the current year's projection already shows a 13% increase in growth compared to the last year. Sordland today. What do we got going on? Okay, so, alright. Rumors of an infrastructure project. Anonymous sources have reported to Sordland today that several government officials have invited construction companies to meetings regarding a new major infrastructure project. If true, this is great news, as infrastructure in Sordland is lacking heavily needed investment. We hope that very qualified and experienced companies like Underhall Construction win the bid. Lockhaven Times. Gang violence claims young girl's life. A 15-year-old girl was shot to death in Narbel as she walked her dog a few blocks away from her apartment. The police said the shooting, which occurred in an area affiliated with the gang Coronelli, was a reckless act of violence, and the victim was not the target. The 15-year-old was shot about 4:45 p.m., right before she was returning home. A man who witnessed the event told police the shooters yelled gang slogans at him on the street before he heard someone fire at least 10 shots, sources said. He later saw the victim and had been hit. He later saw that the victim had been hit and called the authorities. The sources report that the local police force of the region is understaffed and overworked, which adds to the current bleak situation. All right, we got some radicals going on. All right, 1927, never again. I was there when General Lutheran and Ricard clashed in the plains outside of Holsword, when the armies of Swordish people killed each other. I was there when Colonel Sol won the war after bombarding cities with Swordish civilians inside them. We saw the great nation fall into bloodshed and chaos. We thought that we learned our lessons and formed a new republic, but one man's idea became the idea of the state, and we allowed it to be forced upon us. We're a generation who lived with Tarquin Sol for most of their lives. However, this generation is different. Our kids have not experienced civil war or martial law. This generation is born in a changing time. We cannot allow the same conditions to return. We cannot forget when General Lutheran declared martial law in 1927, when his tanks rolled and murders took place. Those tanks cannot roll again. Bombs cannot fall again. Freedoms cannot be suspended again. 1927, never again. The real truth behind economic crisis. You didn't even say the. We have all seen the scenario play before. Large corporate businesses again and again receive money from the government under the disguise of helping the economy. But what about the people? Many in the neglected regions still do not have electricity or fresh water in their homes, and they are the lucky ones. There's a growing housing crisis, and people are on the streets begging for food. In the year of 1954, it is high time that money's invested in us, the people of Sordland, instead of armchair millionaires in their luxurious villas. The reason I like doing, so I like reading the other ones as if they're actual, like, normal news, and I like reading the Radical as if I'm radical myself. It's fun. Alright, so, Vesord, what do we got? Here's a report from Vesord. United Contana and Embassy help protesters. After midnight, Red Youth protesters clashed with young swords at the Vesord city center, resulting in many injuries. The counter-protesters were cornered in front of the United Contana Embassy after they were pushed back by the police. Excuse me. The embassy opened its doors and Red Youth members escaped inside. The police are still waiting outside the building for the return of Red Youth members. Okay, very interesting. I don't feel the need to get it down, though, personally. But yeah, no, we got the highway going on. We got the highway. No. Alright, if I were to take a look at the codex, and not just the codex, but my journal on turn 1, declared my intention to work with the reformists for the constitutional reform. The H3 highway will be the first infrastructure project of my term. The decision was made to promote a planned economy in the country. Accepted the offer to privately meet with the new CEO of HOS. I allowed the new electoral campaign finance bill to pass into law. We have won the 1953 election. A new chapter begins for Sordland. Alright. It is 1954, and I gotta go to Whole Sword to deal with some shit. So I got dinner with the family, but I also gotta read a report. Ooh, ICBMs are not good. Arcasia develops first ICBM. Intelligence reports that Arcasia... Republic of Arcasia, also known the Constitution. Oh, right, so this is the America. Right. Arcasia, America, gotcha. Successfully completed the Missile 4, an intercontinental ballistic missile which has the estimated capability to accurately destroy targets of thousands of kilometers range. Arcasian missile capabilities have significantly increased, posing a threat to territories that are further away from Western Mercopa. Which we're a little east, not gonna lie. Real shame that. Yeah. Alright, dinner with the family at home. After a long day at the palace, I was finally home. I thanked Serge and walked through the front gates, nodding at the two guards as I went by. Even as I turned the doorknob, I could hear Dina rushing down the stairs to greet me. I opened the door and there she was, standing in front of me with expectant eyes. Papa, you're home. There's my beautiful princess. There's my little bright one. Lift and hug her. Do I want to be encouraging? I suppose it is a hard time right now. There you are. I don't want to, like, spoil you, call you a princess or whatever. I've never, personally, like, outside the game, I've never been for that. I don't know, it just feels weird. Like, you're not royalty. Stop treating your daughters like that. Anyway, I lifted Dina up and hugged her while trying to put the keys in the tray next to the entrance. She was growing fast. Lifting her up was no longer as easy as it once was. How was school? Where's your mother? Oof, that's enough of that. You're a big girl now. How was your mother? How was school? Boring. I like my old school better. Put her down and her expression turned serious. Papa, are the bad men gone? Aww. Only one bad man, Dina, and yes, he's gone now. I will never let anyone hurt you, ever. This rock took care of everything. There was just one bad man. He's gone now. Okay. Dina dashed down the hallway. Mama, Papa's here. Monica appeared next to the kitchen door. She was wearing an apron and holding a spatula in her hand. Dina, what did I tell you? No running in the house. Yes, Mama. Approached me and kissed me on the cheek. A tantalizing smell wafted from the kitchen behind her. Darling, you shouldn't have. What do we have to cook for? How was your day? I'm hungry. When's dinner? How was your day? Terrific. I finally got to do some grocery shopping, just like old times, and I'm making your favorite. You mean the only option? Yes. Yes. Svalbli. Svalbli was a classic whole sword delicacy. Vegetables and creamy sheep cheese sandwiched between thin layers of dough. Sheep cheese? I mean, I guess you can make cheese out of any mammal's milk, but... I mean... You know what? If it's good, it's good, I guess. I'm not gonna try it myself, but go for it, man. Enjoy. It was absolutely my favorite dish, especially paired with Keywii, a potent, unfiltered wine from Bergia. It's my lucky day. What's the occasion? Where's the Keywii? Kiss her on the cheek. I'm not gonna be like all sort of full of myself. So I'm nice. Kiss Monica on the cheek. I just wanted to cheer everyone up a bit. Her smile faded and she lowered her voice so that Dina wouldn't hear. Especially after what happened at the ball. I'm worried, Anton, for you, for the children, and for the country. Dina suddenly appeared next to us. Mama? Yes, sweetheart. I'm hungry. We'll eat in just a minute. That is just straight up like children. Just like, hey, when's food? I'm hungry. We're cooking it now. But I'm hungry. I know, but just wait a minute. Just wait. It is on its way. We are cooking it currently. Fucking goddamn. We'll eat in just a minute. Will you help me set the table? Anton, can you tell Frank? Frank. To come down for dinner? That's Frank. He's been sulking in his room all day. I'm pretty sure I know why. Monica started taking out the china while I headed upstairs to fetch my son. Is it still called China in a world that doesn't have China as a country? I don't get it. Loud rock and roll music echoed down the hallway from his room. I caught a faint hint of cigarette smoke. Open the door. Knock on the door. Open the door. I'm kind of disappointed with this loud rock and roll. That's the devil's music. And the cigarette smoke. That's fine. I tried to open the door. The door was locked. Knock on the door. I'll be diplomatic now that the door is actually, you know, closed. There was no response. I turned on that racket and opened the door. Hey, I tried, man. I tried twice. Terry and Frank's room clicked off. Alright. He unlocked and opened the door. What do you want? Food is ready. Turn those records up louder next time, won't you? I don't think the neighbors heard. I'm your father, you respond when I ask. Hand over those cigarettes and join your family for dinner. I'm a bit of a hard ass. You smoke, don't you? I'm old enough to do what I want. As long as you live in this house, you'll do as I command? I'm trying to quit that nasty habit. You gotta stop while you still can. I'm asking you to wait until you're out of the house. Frank heaved a sigh, handed me the packet, and headed downstairs. I'm not telling him not to smoke, just don't do it at my place. Fucking come on. I followed him down into the living room. The table was prepared and Monica was ladling food onto the plates. Come on, have a seat. It'll be tasty if it won't be tasty if it's cold. As we started eating, the room was quiet. Monica's cooking was as delicious as ever, but I had the feeling this wasn't the reason nobody spoke. Monica was the first to break the silence. Say, do you know what they refurbished? Did you know that they refurbished the grocery store? I don't know if you remember the owner. He's been there every day for the past 30 years. Can you imagine doing the same job for so long? What if you were president for 20 years, for example? Honestly, would that really be so bad? I don't want this country to suffer under another soul. 20 years of this, I'd be dead. Why not? We could live like king. I don't want the country. I don't want to suffer, okay? Agreed. That must never happen again. Anyway, the grocer really is a nice person. He threw in some extra vegetables with my... Who's interrupting? Oh, Frank suddenly slammed his hands on the table, rattling the china. Monica, Dana, and I stared at him. So, is this how it's going to be? We're just going to sit here like nothing happened? Dad, you could have been killed. Mom, you could have been killed. Any one of us could have been killed. Could have been dead. Lower lip started trembling. Monica put her hand on Frank's shoulder. You know, I would never let anything happen to you or Dina, even if it cost me my life. I mean, I'm leaning towards that one, but not quite. Let's see, what else we got? What would you have us do? And yet we are still alive. You'll not raise your voice. No, I'm not that much of a hard ass. I'm trying to be good, right? And what would you have us do? You know I would never let anything happen to you or Dina, even if it cost me my life. I'm leaning to 1, but I think I'm going to go with 2. This one's good, but I like this one. I don't know, talk about it, maybe. Frank gets up from his seat. Frank, let's talk about it. Sit down. Fine, let's talk about it. Sit down. Frank takes a seat again, scowling. I know it was a close call, but everything's under control. Don't worry, we're going to be fine. Do you think I would let us go down so easily? Yeah, feels right. Frank smirked. No. But it's not up to you, is it? My security assured me that they will take all the necessary steps. Just one rogue shooter, we're not even the target. Just trust me. Nah. The security assured me that they took all the necessary steps. Same security that let a person get shot in front of the palace? Frank, listen to your father. If your father says we don't need to worry, then we don't need to worry. You have to trust him. Monica turned to me. We all have to trust each other. Things calmed down a bit at the table. We finished our food in silence. Frank got up first and retreated back to his room. Monica lifted Dina up and plopped her in front of the living room TV before returning to the table. Yeah, the kids are coping in the way that kids cope. You know, lashing out, crying, all that sort of stuff. Trust me, I understand. She sat down across from me. Anton, he is still young. I know, but there's not much longer we can shield him from the ugliness of the world. So it worries me. I had plenty of rash decisions when I was his age. My father would have given me hell for that kind of insubordination. He's scared, Anton, and frankly, he isn't the only one. I promise if there truly is any threat to this family, you'll be the first to know. Well, yeah, she'll be the first to know. She'd fucking be dead. She's the family. All you need to worry about is putting more delicious... No. Don't worry too, Monica. Things might escalate. She got up, stood behind me, and massaged my shoulders for a moment before leaving me alone in the dining room. Sat alone at the table and drained my glass of cabbage. Had I been lying to Frank and Dina? Was the threat to my family truly over? It wasn't. I was lying. Time would tell. I don't think lying in that particular regard is going to be that much of a consequence, though. It's not going to be a movie. It's just like, oh, but you promised we'd be okay. It's like, shut up, okay? I said that to make you feel better, not because it's true. Protests erupted around Sordland after the death of Bernard Circus, many of which started peaceful but soon turned violent. Protesters with red youth flags were seen in most central cities around Sordland carrying out violent riots. Violent riots and organizing protests that disrupted much vital services from being delivered to the Sordish people. Protesters had held sit-ins which were broken up by riot police with tear gas and water cannons in the regions of Bergia, England, and Grin. Thousands of people poured into Republic Avenue in Lockhaven and Soul Square in Holsword in response to the Young Swords attack. Similar protests around Sordland soon turned into violent riots. Not a fan of all these protests. Protests are taking place through the Gruni region. In response to the assassination of Bernard Circus, the protesters raised their concerns about the young swords, the increased cost of living, and inequality prevalent in the country. Large rallies have been organized in the city centers of Benfey and Boren. A large congregation of Red Youth members have organized sit-ins and armed protests at hampering public transport in the city of Volgan, which brought the city to a standstill for a few hours before riot police came to disperse large groups of protesters at transportation nodes. Lockhaven Times. Political chaos! That sucks. Alright, political violence has surrounded Sordland since yesterday. While officials from the police claim to have the situation under control, protests are turning into riots and violent attacks are occurring around the country. NFP and LUS call for protest. Kesaro Kibiner of the National Front Party called a rally to condemn communist influence from United Contana and called the violent protesters as traitors to Sordland. 3 Malevolists, Malayivists, are roaming in our streets, conducting violent attacks in disguise as peaceful protesters. We can't let them exploit a man's murder, said Kibiner in a press conference. On the other hand, the labor union of Sordland has gathered to condemn nationalist violence in Sordland. Protests gathered crowds of several thousand and agitators from both sides in Holsword. The acts of vandalism occurred. Katarina Horton accused Kibbener for provoking the public. Young Swords vandalized shops. A group of people with Young Sword flags have vandalized a dozen of shops in the trade district of Anrika, specifically targeting the Blutish and Agno-Swordish minorities. The shop owners who defended themselves were wounded in the attacks. Local police broke the groups apart. NFP office burned. That's not good. A group of violent militants have assaulted the National Front Party headquarters in Morning and committed arson. Firefighters have been called to the scene where fires raged for hours on end. Several nearby houses burned to the ground before it was brought under control. The economics. The wrong economy. The government has made this decision to promote a planned economy, a decision which is based on flawed arguments of Solonomics. The economists believe in the free market economy for good reason. Now, before anybody calls us Arcasia sympathizers, we don't support the excessive form of capitalism Arcasia is spreading around the world, like in Lesbia. What is Lesbia? British Republic of Lesbia, country in eastern Rakopa, pockets of territory. Is this supposed to be the Japan? I don't know. Our belief is that a balance can exist where the government can support the private sector with government money. Businesses could take the needed economic planning burden off the shoulder of the government. We disagree with the planned economy simply because we can't properly micromanage everything in a society where people need to be able to determine their own future. Sordland people don't deserve to be shackled, and it is sad to know that President Rayne doesn't think the same way. Here's the problem with that. Based on the game that I'm playing that you are, I only had two options, and neither of them was fucking balanced, let me tell you. React to the unrest. End the day at the Maroon Palace. No, let's do a little reaction. A decision to address the instability in the nation. Call for restraint in national television. Visit affected towns in person. All right. So the political situation around the country has escalated. Chief strategist Lucian Gallade has prepared several action plans that we can execute. What will you do to address the intensifying political climate? Call for restraint on national television. Visit affected towns in person. Label all protesters as terrorists, traitors. Expand the police by deploying all recruits in training. Reject the plan. No. One of these is probably good. Don't reject Lucian. He's fucking amazing. He's he should be in charge, but he isn't. Anyway, so I'm leaning towards this police one. Call for restraint on national television. Restraint. What would it mean by that? If I click on this, it's probably going to enact it. But I wish if I clicked on it or if I hovered over it, it would tell me like what it does, what it do, what do. What do? What do? What do? No, I know the point is you're not supposed to know, but like it would be nice to know. Expand the police by deploying all recruits in training. Visit affected towns in person. Label all protests as traitors. Call for restraint on national television. I wish I knew what that meant. What do? Call for restraint. Expand the police by deploying all recruits in training. I do that one. Updated. Country overview has been updated. Turn 2 now. Oh, interesting. Supported our police forces and aided their recruitment effort to stabilize the country. Order. Ooh, okay, good. Good thing. Inexperienced police recruits. Yeah, well, what are you going to do? Okay? The new police enlargement directive has increased the size of the force by a quarter, allowing more enforcement coverage. This quickly expanded force had to deploy all recruits in training, which resulted in a new wave of inexperienced police recruits. Again, what were we supposed to do? Under the directive of the President, the Interior has reduced training times and expanded the force to restore order. That's going to bite me in the ass later, but something you can do about it right at this second. Anyway, we're at 24 minutes. I don't think we can get through the end of the day. Like, come on. Government budget and personal wealth. I'd spend my personal wealth so I can have so the government could have more money. Alright, fine, let's begin. It was late in the evening. Maroon Palace was finally getting somewhat quiet when I returned to my office at the top. I eagerly approached my chair and sprawled out on it. It has been an exhausting day, just like every day since I took office. Light a cigarette, pour some whiskey, lean back and relax, prepare to go home. No, I'm here to work. I'm here to work. Lean back and relax. I'm going to light a cigarette. I lit a cigarette and smoked it for a while. It'll take my mind off my work stress for a minute. The smoke slowly rose toward the tall ceiling. I glanced downwards out the window and saw Serge and the guards waiting for me by the main gate. I heard a couple of knocks on my door. My secretary, Livia Suno, entered. Mr. President, Mr. Tusk is here to see you. You had a meeting with the Lotharberg spokesman. I'm so sorry for not giving you proper notice. Do your job properly next time. Do you expect me to keep track of everything myself? I was just about to leave. Maybe we can postpone the meeting? But he's already here, Mr. President. What do you want me to tell him? For a moment, Mr. Tusk swaggered into the room. I met Sordland's most prominent businessman once or twice, but never alone. He had large jowls, blindingly shiny shoes, and the air of someone who was used to getting his way. Anything to drink, Mr. Tusk? Water? Whiskey? Cognac. Preferably from before you were born, sweetheart. I'll check the supply room. Livia backed out of the office, shooting me an apologetic look as she did so. Walter hung up his hat, which I could see was lined with mink. And he fixed me with a long, hard stare, then broke into a toothy grin. Good evening, Mr. President. I'm here to congratulate you. We both sat down. My business partners and I wish you a successful term as the leader of our nation. Thank you, Mr. Tusk. Get to the point, Mr. Tusk. Why are you really here? I nod. Take a neutral approach in this instance. I had no choice to say this at the ball with all the pain. But we're all very much looking forward to working with you. Likewise, thank you. Why is it you're really here, Mr. Tusk? I see that you're not very welcoming, President. I merely congratulated you. I see no reason to necessitate rudeness. Forgive me, I didn't want to be rude. Long day. I don't believe I'm being rude. Time is money, after all. Isn't that right? See, I know business just as much as you do. I went to economics school. Walter took a conspicuous look at the diamond-encrusted watch on his wrist. Yes, that's true, but at the same time, patience and humility are important virtues for a man in your position. You are the president, after all. May I continue? Please. I'd like to build a profitable relationship between us. That being said, there are some concerns of mine and the people I represent, which I would like to take the opportunity to clear up. I'm listening. What are these concerns? The people you represent? I'm listening. The ruined state of the economy in Sordland has influenced everyone. The recession hit all of us hard. Walter pulled out a box of cigars from his jacket. I had these brought from Lesbia, the best cigars in the whole continent. Would you like to try one? Smoke a cigar. You go ahead. I don't want to smoke. I was just smoking. I'd rather not have you smoke here. Nah. I grabbed one out of the pack. Walter lit it up with a large engraved lighter. Now we are talking. A man who knows pleasure and business. Get to the point. Walter grabbed himself a cigar and lit it up as well. He looked out at the city scenery as we both puffed away. The assassination and the troubles between the left and right are worrying, but the recession is the root of all these causes. For us, it is worrying to see that you have decided to promote a planned economy. Recession was triggered by the market reforms of Alfonso. We need more government control to a fixed economy. I don't mind that we disagree on the economy. Which he couldn't finish due to being heavily obstructed by the establishment. Economics needs long-term strategy and mid-term adjustments to provide growth and stability. My father said once, you have to finish what you started. He is right. The system collapsed because Alfonso didn't finish the reforms he started, and then look at what happened to him. He leaned forward in the chair. The hallway investment was a good call, but there was more to gain in the high-speed rail, especially for business logistics. The England region was in dire need of investments. Our goal was to focus on the needs of the people, not businesses. The intention of the administration is to boost the economy. I don't want to disclose our intentions to an outsider. That's actually a good answer. I like that a lot. Let's see here. The intentions of the administration is to boost the economy. The England region was in dire need of investments. The most important goal is to divert investments where most profits can be made for the Treasury. We can be close allies. The group can help you get Sordland out of the recession, which will be the key problem to solve in your term and could even determine your re-election. Let's start with a gesture of goodwill. Soon the investments project contract will be awarded to one of the three main contenders. He pulled a check out of his pocket and slid it toward me on the table. The investment project contract will be awarded to one of the three main contenders. My personal bank details were listed on it with a deposit of 500,000 Sordland ready for to be transferred. This is 6 months of a president's salary. So slightly is like 75, it'd be like 80, right? It would be, I think, 80. I don't know, what is 500 divided by 6? 83.3. Yikes. That's not a good amount. If the contract is somehow awarded to Underhall Construction, they would not only work hard and deliver it, but also do it on time. What do you think, Mr. Rayne? Wouldn't that be good? He put his index finger on the check. There's a noise by the door. Olivia Suna was standing there, holding a tray with a bottle of 2 glasses. I'm so sorry, Mr. Tusk. But all I could find was a 1942 Savigny. I hope that's acceptable. She quickly put the tray on my desk and walked out. Tusk eyed her as she left. Remind me to visit your office more often. Now, where were we? Do we have a deal? Mr. Tusk, I am looking forward to our business. Take the bribe. Okay, well, let's take a step back for a second and consider. Not yet. We both know we can do better than that amount. No, I will make my own decision. You try to bribe the president of Sordland. I refuse. I mean, maybe without the refuse part at the end. We both know you can do better than that amount. I'll make my own decision. You're right about that. I'll make this my final offer. He pulled out another check with a smile. This time 1 million Sordland was listed on the piece of paper. I accept the offer and take bribe. Until you come back with a better offer, the answer is no. Here's my final answer. Do not try to bribe me again, or we'll have to make your deals in a prison cell. God, I don't like any of these 3 options. None of these 3 options are good. Now, if I recall correctly, the construction group he's working for, Underhall Construction, people were saying that it would be good if they got the job. Be like, oh yeah, it's a thing, blah blah blah, it's good. This is gonna have consequences. I know that factually. There's no kicking the can down the road. I mean, I guess the middle option is that, but like not really. Because he said this is his final offer. So I could take the bribe, which I am leaning towards, not gonna lie. Or here's my final offer: do not try to bribe me again. Have to make I don't want to throw him in jail though. I feel like the warning from before would have been like without the words "I refuse" at the end. It would have been great, but no. Are you seriously trying to bribe the president? Like I would have loved if it was just the question. Let's see here. Take the offer or refuse the offer. I don't want to kick the can. I'm not can-kicking mood today. I'm leaning towards the bribe. That's gonna up my personal wealth by a lot. However, that is going to cause problems with the economy. I'm aware of that for a fact. I could use my personal wealth toward other things, but people are gonna be like, "Oh, you took a bribe in like what, your first term?" I'm a man of my word. I didn't say I wouldn't take bribes. And people want the Underhall Construction somehow awarded not only work hard but deliver it on time. Fine, I'll take the goddamn bribe. I accept the offer. He grinned and let a laugh. The check was right between his hands. He He pulled his hands back and I took the check. The deal will also show that to the group that the administration hasn't left the private sector behind. Our goal is to unite every stockholder to improve the economy. The administration will maintain a good relationship with the group. I'm very happy we came to an agreement today. Every stakeholder to improve the economy. Improving the economy is important. I don't care about your fucking bribes or whatever, fuck. But the country. Exactly, the business owners need to unite and support the growth. Thanks to your efforts, we can see it happen. We will be keeping in touch. Walter stood up, grabbed his jacket, and shook my hand before making his way towards the door. He smiled before closing the door and leaving. I gathered my things and prepared to finally head home. I walked out as I noticed Olivia still there, covering up her typewriter for the evening. If I may be so bold, Mr. President, do you accept his offer? Matter of fact, I did. What of it? It's absolutely none of your business. Of course I didn't. How could you even ask me? Do not speak about it again. You didn't see anything. She is going to be a whistleblower. I know that. I know that factually she's a whistleblower. What do I do about it, though? Of course I didn't. How could you even ask me that? I don't want to be, like, denial boy. Or, well, I don't want to be, like, yeah, this is full-on denial. But this is also denial, so it's weird. Anyway, I don't want to be 2. I might be 4. I'm slightly leaning towards it. Matter of fact, I did. What up? Of course I didn't. How could you even ask me that? I know lying is going to be a problem. Because be like, what else is he lying about? Blah, 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 blah. Excuse me? Of course I did. What of it? I'm sure it's a good idea. You've just been given a leverage over you that you can use for the rest of your time in office. A valid concern, but it made my decision. Don't worry your pretty little head about it. A valid concern, but I've made my decision. She and I took a moment to look over the lights of the city before heading to the elevators. Yeah, it is in fact a valid concern. Correct. However, and this is true, it doesn't matter. Anyway, that'll have to be for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, I'm Keywii. Get yourself a delightful day. I love you all. Goodbye.